So here we are in the wilds of North London, and I'm going to talk you through what I would have in a typical rucksack, my kit for a day of mapping in the UK. This doesn't include winter conditions, but for spring through summer and autumn, this is what I would have in my rucksack. So first of all, about some of the clothes I'm wearing. Nice light shell trousers. So the important thing is that they're not cotton, they're not jeans. Cotton trousers and jeans particularly will get you very cold if it's wet and windy. Okay, there's a real risk of hypothermia if you're wearing jeans. So this is a shell material, it's windproof. If there's a light shower, it'll resist the water. If it rains heavily, I'm going to have to wear waterproof trousers as well. These are good for summer, they're good and light. In the autumn or in Scotland, if I was going up the mountains, I'd wear slightly thicker shell trousers, but still the same idea. Windproof, water resistant is best. Okay. Decent boots. There we go. They've got ankle support all the way up. They're good, strong leather. They're waterproof. They've got a good stiff sole. They're going to support my feet when I'm on rough terrain. Okay. What do you need for your geology? Well, your notebook and a pencil, something to write with. Compass clinometer. You might want a map. If you're mapping, then obviously you're going to have a map that you can write on as well, and some writing methods. Here I just have a normal map. It's in a map case so it stays dry, and it keeps the map good and stops it from getting all screwed up, and I can really pack it down quite small. Okay, that's not very good for writing on, and there are other writing dry cases for when you're doing mapping, which are mentioned in some of the field notebook resources. I have my hard hat. Okay, hard hat. I have a hammer. Now often a hammer isn't necessary, and in a lot of places it's actually illegal to hammer if there's a special scientific interest. So it's not always necessary, but sometimes it can be useful. If you are going to use a hammer, you have to use safety glasses as well. Hand lens. So that's my basic geology kit. I suppose you could also include a mobile phone or a GPS system. So mobile phones, you want to keep it dry, so you want to put it in some sort of a waterproof case. You can now get very good GPS software that links to mapping software as well, and also things that will measure dips and strikes, compass clino applications as well. They're a good addition to your compass clino. Okay, they're great until the battery runs out or you drop it in the stream. Okay. The other thing is mobile phones have very strong neodymium magnets in them, and you don't want them anywhere near your compass clinometer. Okay, if you're measuring dips and strikes with your compass clino, your mobile phone will ruin the measurements. But not only that, if you store them together, then the magnets in the mobile phone are so strong that they can actually damage the magnetic needle of your compass. Okay, so store them separately. That was in my the compass clino was in my trouser pocket. That was in my rucksack. Okay, so that's your geology. Okay, now it's about staying comfortable, staying safe. Okay. So for emergencies, this is a blizzard jacket. It's basically the same as a bivy bag, something that in an emergency you get in, open it up, get in, keeps you warm. With a blizzard jacket you can keep moving, that's the difference. It weighs virtually nothing, it's tiny, just popped in your rucksack. You hope you'll never have to use it, but if you have to use it, then you'll be very grateful for it. Similarly, for emergencies, a small first aid kit, and I tend to carry a head torch with me. You never know when you're going to be out later than you expect. Okay, so a head torch is useful. Also, it's useful if you come across caves and you want to safely look in the entrance of caves. Okay. While we're on the point that you may end up out later than you expect, if you take any medication, take some with you, because you never know, you might need to take it. Okay. So, sunny day, sun hat, and sun cream. Okay, very important. You don't want to get sunburn right at the start of your mapping, because that's going to hurt for many days afterwards. Okay. If the weather is bad, then you will need a warm hat, a nice fleece hat, some gloves. There we go, these are the gloves I use. They're fleece, they're windproof, they turn into mittens, and that bit goes over the top, and that keeps your fingers really warm. When you want to write, you can get your hands out. Okay, so they're really, really good. These kinds of fleece mittens that you can take the finger pouch off and it frees your fingers up. If the weather gets worse, you might want to keep your neck warm and your head warm, so a buff is good. And then we get into, if it's properly chilly, then a decent windproof jacket. That's good. Again, it's a shell material, so it resists the rain. Light showers, it's fine. You don't need to put waterproofs on. And it's quite good not to have to put waterproofs, stop and put waterproofs on and off the whole time. But if you have to, waterproof trousers. These are nice light ones, they're packed down tiny. A waterproof jacket. Now, nowadays I would definitely recommend you get a breathable one. This is a Gore-Tex jacket. And some emergency warm layers. If you end up having to stop, either if you're just at a locality and you're taking a long time looking at the geology, or stopping for lunch, or in an emergency, you're going to want some extra warm layers to put on. That's my warm hoodie layer. Again, it's windproof. I like to take some spare socks as well. Okay, if you end up with soaking wet feet, you've had to cross a stream, or you stood in a bog or something, there's nothing better than putting dry socks on. Okay, so spare pair of good socks for your walking boots. And then of course you'll want some water. I take a flask of warm tea as well, or coffee as well. Just nice, warms you up on a cold day. Something for lunch. I have my apple. I have a snack as well. My safety goggles also double up as sunglasses. They're good quality polycarbonate lenses, so they're good for safety goggles. I also use them when I'm ice climbing. There we are, sunglasses. And then there's no point having all that stuff to keep you dry and warm if your rucksack can't keep it dry and warm. Okay? If you end up with wet clothes in your rucksack and you want to put them on to warm up, that's going to be no good. Okay? So you need to keep all of the stuff that was in there dry. The best way to do that is with a dry liner bag. They're relatively light, relatively cheap, but in extremis, a plastic carrier bag will do the job. Rucksacks typically are not waterproof. You might buy them as waterproof, but very quickly they stop being waterproof because they're taking a lot of wear and tear. So So line it with something which is waterproof. And then finally, I also have a camera. Okay, so that's what goes in my day bag. I take a walking stick as well. It's very useful if it gets very windy, or if you've got to cross rivers, then they're really, really useful. Just one is good enough for most of what you do. You can see that all of that fitted relatively easily into a day bag. Okay, so this is a 30-litre rucksack. It all fits quite well. There's not a lot of space left over for rocks. So if you wanted to have more space, then a slightly larger rucksack will do the job. This is 45 litres, and for a day that will always do you. Okay. Often rucksacks have little whistles on them, so in this case there's a whistle there. Okay, so for attracting attention in an emergency, and a whistle is a good thing. Often you'll get them on a rucksack, or my waterproof jacket has a whistle in it as well. Okay, and that's about everything. This is yeah, it's good basic kit for summer, spring, autumn in the UK. Okay, if you're going into the high hills, then you might want some more warm clothes. If you're going out in the early spring or the late winter, late autumn, then you're definitely going to want some more clothes, some thicker things, maybe an extra warm layer. But this is a basic day's worth of kit. Okay. So that's a fairly typical kit list for working in summer conditions in the UK. So not in winter conditions, but pretty much any other conditions. It hasn't included specialist equipment, so you could imagine scenarios where, for instance, if you're working on busy roads, you might want a high visibility jacket. There are various other bits of specialist kit that you might use at various points, which I haven't included here. This kit list is also at the bottom of the Field Skills webpage.